We got the legend trailer for MLB The Show 25 that included over 20 new names coming to the game. So today we got this tier list. I'm gonna go through, give you my opinions, and rank every single one of the new legends that just came out. Some of them are cropped off, but right here we got Jordan Zimmermann. Jordan Zimmermann was mainly known for his career when he played for the Nationals. He came top 10 in Cy Young in back-to-back seasons, and then signed a big deal with the Tigers where he just never lived up to the hype. He's a cool name to add. He'll be fun on a lot of theme teams, and he's Wisconsin native. For me, he's in the C tier. Next up, we got Ubaldo Jimenez. Ubaldo Jimenez slightly reminds me of a little bit worse Tim Lincecum, where his prime was just so good, including coming in third place in a Cy Young year, and then he just kind of fell apart after that, never living up to the hype. But having a 2.88 ERA while playing half your games in Colorado, and also leading the league in wild pitches with 16, it'll be a fun card, funky delivery. He should have a good pitch repertoire. I'm gonna put him in the B tier. But now let me tell you about today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is my favorite place to play fantasy games, more specifically their pick'em entries. All you have to do is pick higher or lower for 2 to 5 stats from your favorite players. Simply just submit the ticket and you can earn up to 20 times your money. The best part about Underdog is that if you use code Bkindel or click the link in the description, they will double your first deposit up to $100. Again, download the Underdog Fantasy app and use code Bkindel to double your first deposit. Now back to the video. Roger Clemens is up next, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, hands down. And they're continuing to kind of throw steroid era players back in the game. We got Sosa Maguire a few years ago, now we got Roger Clemens, leaving out hope that maybe someday we get an A-Rod or a Bonds. I feel as if people are not as excited about Roger Clemens as they should be. This man won 4 Cy Young awards, or is it 5? 5 Cy Young awards, and you can argue is the greatest pitcher of all time. He's an easy S tier player and probably the best legend we got in this group. Clay Buchholz is up next. I'm not gonna even show his stats. There's nothing crazy about them. He had one really good season for the Red Sox, but the rest of his career was just really bad. So he's another one of those players that's gonna be fun on theme teams, and it'll be fun for some of those collections that give you like a lower 85 overall diamond. So he's gonna be a C tier guy for me. Don Baylor's up next. He's gonna be a pretty big name as he had a 36 home run season in his MVP year, another 34 home run season, big time power bat. So depending on the year he could get some pretty good cards. Only thing that sucks is he's added to a position pool that already has a lot of really good players in left field and first base. Nonetheless, I'm gonna still put him in the A tier. I feel like we need more big time righty power bats. Chase Headley is up next. If I remember correctly, Chase Headley had a really good swing when he was actually in the game, and during his playing career, he had one insane season where he had 31 home runs, came 5th in MVP, won a Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger over at third base. Oh, he's one of the best defensive third basemen we've ever seen. And maybe most his cards are not going to be great, but if we get a 2012 version, which we're going to, that card's going to be pretty nuts with a mixture of power and defense. I'm going to put him in the B tier. I think he's going to be better for BR purposes. Next up, we got Cool Papa Bell rocking the black and white picture. Cool Papa Bell is going to be one of the storyline players that we're going to see at launch. Not a ton of power, but he was one of the fastest players of all time. I think it's one of the bigger storylines players that we still can get that we haven't gotten years past because Josh Gibson's already taken. I'm gonna put him in the A tier. I think he'll be a fun Juan Pierre-esque card where he doesn't have a lot of power, but his speed is going to be basically maxed out. A fun leadoff guy. Ted Simmons is up next. Ted Simmons was part of the 1982 Milwaukee Brewers World Series team, and in that year, he had 23 home runs. He had a couple other seasons of over 20 home runs as well, multiple MVP votes, all-star games, all this while playing catcher. His defense behind the plate wasn't very good, but his offense definitely made up for it. So we'll see how the card plays out, but nonetheless, I'm a biased Brewers fan. He was part of the World Series team. I'm going to put him in the A tier. An even better catcher, we got Jason Varitek. Jason Varitek was part of 2 of those Red Sox World Series teams. Won a Gold Glove at catcher. Also had 3 20 home run seasons. Plus, he's a switch hitting catcher. We don't see a lot of those in the game. When he comes out, I think he's going to be one of the more sought after cards as long as his swing is good. It's another A tier guy. Now we got Hank Greenberg. And it was really funny when this card got leaked because you could tell the baseball diehards that were just out of their mind excited about this guy coming to the game. Then you have the casuals who are either like, who is this guy? Why are we adding guys from the 60s? This guy sucks. He's not going to be good. Whatever. But if you look at his stats, you can see why people were excited. A career .313 hitter who also hit 58 home runs in 1938. And for those of you who don't know, there were not a lot of home runs being hit in 1938. He finished third in MVP voting that season, led the league in home runs, and if you look, it was literally him and Jimmy Fox. Nobody else was even close to putting up the numbers that they were. He has a career slugging percentage of over 600, OPS over 1,000, and honestly, if he didn't go to the military during World War II and he kind of prolonged his baseball career a little bit, we would be talking about him as one of the all-time greats. I mean, he already is, but I mean like more up the rankings. He won 2 MVP awards, hit over 300 almost every single year, leading the league in home runs 4 different times. It's an easy S tier. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. Baseball season is here, and SeatGeek's gonna be your #1 spot for finding tickets to any game for any ballpark you want to go to. My favorite part about SeatGeek is that this little icon right here is meant to tell me just how good of a deal I'm getting on these tickets. Takes all the guesswork out of finding out if you're getting a good deal or not. Use code Bkindel at checkout, and it will take $20 off your first purchase. Click the link down in the description. Moving on, we got Reggie Sanders, and I'm gonna be honest, there are a couple cards on here that I either knew bare minimum about or never even heard of. Reggie Sanders, a guy that even though he played in the 2000s, I knew very little about. He had a pretty solid career though. He was a big time home run threat, career OPS of over 830. He's nothing that's gonna be absolutely insane, and I believe he's an outfielder, but it's another right-handed power bat, which right now seems like it's pretty left-handed heavy in the game, so adding some right-handed power, I can definitely get behind that. I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Moving on to the players that I have never heard of coming into this game till the trailer. Terry Pendleton. So apparently this man was a switch hitting third baseman that played in the 80s and 90s. Not a ton of power, but he did win an MVP. He had a really good hit tool, won the MVP in 1991 with the Braves, hit .319 that season, and led the league in hits in back-to-back years, finishing second the year after too. Also has a gold glove, so seems like a solid mixture card. He's not going to be a card that headlines any programs, any packs, a card that people are just desperately going to sought after unless you're a big Cardinals or Braves fan. He's definitely a name. It's fun to learn about players that maybe you don't know much about. I'm going to put him in the B tier. Speaking of players we don't know about, Turkey Stearns is going to be one. Maybe you've heard the name, but Storylines is going to give us a more in-depth look about his career and his life. And if you look at his stats when he was in the Negro Leagues, he led the league in home runs in 4 or 5 seasons. While it's not a lot, you gotta look at the different times. Oh, that's triples. Triples, yeah, he's stupid fast. Led the league in home runs 3 different times. Ton of RBIs, hit over 300 every single season. His career batting average is .348. Ton of triples as well. It looks like he never got to play in the MLB. I'm excited to learn about his career. It looks like he was a left-hitting center fielder. I'm assuming the defense is going to be pretty nasty. So once again, it's a fun card. I love these storylines. I'm going to put him in the A tier. Next up, we got Bobby Grinch. Like, who the hell is this guy? Like, I truly don't know. Like, you look at this face and you think, no way, this guy was a legendary baseball player. He's got the porn stash and all. But then you look at his stats and you're like, damn, this guy was actually pretty good. Multiple Gold Glove awards, came top 20 in MVP voting 5 different times, 30 home run season in 1979 with the California Angels. In only 100 games, hit 22 home runs with a .543, which led the league slugging percentage in 1981. I know nothing about this guy. I don't know what his card's gonna look like, but I'm still gonna put him in the B tier. You know what? No, I'm gonna put him in the A tier. It's the porn stash that bumps him up a tier. Then we got Mark Davis. And it's funny because if you Google search Mark Davis, Raiders owner comes up every single time. This guy is just an unheard anomaly until you type MLB stats. Then you finally find this guy. He's like deep down the Google algorithm. So apparently he was a closing pitcher that won a Cy Young Award in 1989. Led the league with 44 saves, had a 1.85 ERA. He has a career .417 ERA, but you know, he had like 4-5 solid good seasons. No idea how hard he throws, but it's going to be another left-handed bullpen arm, which we seem to not have a ton of. So I'm okay with having some bullpen legends. But for me, I'm going to probably put him in the C tier. It's nothing special. Bobby Abreu, though, that's a big time. Bobby Abreu is a player whose career does not get talked about as much as it actually should. He was an MVP candidate, All-Star, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger. Hit 20 plus home runs, it seemed like, every single season. Could also steal you 20 to 40 stolen bases every single year. He was a perennial 2020 threat. Career batting average of 291 with an on base of 395. And this is also with the last 3 seasons of his career being kind of duds. I mean, he was old. He played as a 40-year-old with the Mets where he got 155 plate appearances. That's gonna kind of negatively impact your stats a bit. But 288 home runs, also having 400 career stolen bases. So he'll have a solid mixture of speed, contact, power, and fielding. True 5-tool player, he's gonna be S tier. Next up, we got Jason Kipnis. I always kind of forget that Jason Kipnis is retired just because he was like my childhood watching baseball when, like, you know, he was just an all-star kind of level player, one of the best second basemen. I think his swing is going to translate really well. His stats were never insane, but second baseman tends to be a weak position. You usually use players who are either out of position or have that secondary there. So adding a second baseman gives depth to the legend pool. I'm going to put him as a C as well. Preston Wilson is up. This is where people got kind of pissed off with the term legend being used loosely. For those of you who don't know, any player who's not actively MLB in the MLB is considered a legend by MLB The Show standards. It's not a big fucking deal. Get a job. But his 2003 season was insane. He had 36 home runs with 141 RBIs. It's really all I want to talk about. Preston Wilson, just a big time power bat. He did not play very long at all, but he 100% had some big years and kind of fits the trend of a right-handed hitting power bat. So now you can use a bunch of righties, you can use a bunch of lefties. There's no really like meta for just left-handed hitters. I like it. He's a cool addition, but nothing too crazy. I'll put him in the B. Another player I really didn't know about is Jim Kaat. Jim Kaat played in the 50s all the way through the 80s, had a 25-year career. He was apparently one of the best fielding pitchers of all time with, it looks like, 1 million Gold Gloves. Also came 5th in MVP voting, 304 innings. Dude, you do that nowadays, your arm's gonna fall off. 2.83 ERA, career 3.45 ERA. So left-handed pitcher. I know nothing about this guy besides he has a ton of longevity. I'm assuming he's gonna have maxed out stamina. But his strikeout numbers were horrible with a 4.9 strikeouts per 9 and 2.2 walks per 9. Welcome to pitchers that were used in the 50s. I'm gonna put him in the C tier. I just don't know about the guy. Now, for these these next 5 legends are insane. We got Ted Williams returning to MLB The Show. Ted Williams, when he was in the game, was one of those cards that had 125 everything. I mean, he is a top 5 hitter in all of baseball. Look at what he led the league in, it seemed, every year. Walks, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, 40 home runs per season. Was it 2 MVPs? But honestly, came pretty damn close to winning 6 more. 3 straight seasons of 10 home runs, and he would have been even better. But once again, he served 3 years in World War II. You add that, he's probably easily over 600 home runs and one of the greatest of all time. Oh, on top of that, he had one of the best swings in the game too. A lefty that could absolutely mash. He's going to be an S tier. He is the best new legend we've got by far. Now we got Lance Berkman. I've been wanting to get Lance Berkman in the game for a couple years now, just from the fact that I think his swing's going to be so good. He is a switch hitter that hit 30 to 40 home runs every single freaking season, while on top of that, also hitting around 300 and having a 400 on base percentage. I think his swing's going to translate really well to the game. He's going to have insane power, insane contact. His defense might not be the best, but you can also put him at first base, DH, corner outfield. He's got a little bit of versatility. He's one of the ones I'm most excited for. He's another S guy. So the next guy, as weird as it sounds, I'm really excited for Darren O'Day. He was a submarine pitcher, just had a funky delivery, was hard to pick up the ball, induced a ton of ground balls. I love that we're getting legend relief pitchers. We need more relievers in the game. And with his funky delivery, a sinker, a slider, he's going to be a lot harder to hit, even though he doesn't throw very hard. For me, he's an A tier. And then the next two, they're just insane. We got Joey Bats back into the game, and they recreate in the trailer his epic bat flip that he hit against the Rangers in the playoffs. It's pretty fucking sick. Jose Bautista is probably going to be the one that just about every single person that plays this game know. He didn't have a very long peak, but his peak came in his 30s. In his 20s, he was not good. He got bounced around a ton in the early stages of his career, then found a home with the Blue Jays. 54 home runs, 43. Slowed down a little bit with 27-28, but then he went 35 and 40. He had one of the best peaks at the time and was one of the best offensive threats this 2011 season, a 1056 OPS with a 608 slugging. He also had a really good right-handed swing, more right-handed power. He's an S tier. And then finishing it off, we got Manny Wood coming back to MLB The Show. One of the best right-handed hitters in all baseball. Some people forget he started his career with the Indians before moving on to the Red Sox, where he truly established himself, helped them win their first World Series in, 80 years? Then he went to LA in one of the biggest trades we've seen and absolutely thrived there in that half in 2008. It's going to be nice because we really could see a high-tier Cleveland, Guardians, Indians, whatever, Ramirez, because he hit 45 home run seasons with 150 RBIs. And then also the Red Sox, he was an absolute legend there. So easy S tier. So in total, we got 7 S tier legend. And really, there were no bad ones. No D tier guys, a couple C tiers just because I still think they're going to be fun to use in like the early stages of the game or on theme teams, but nothing I was too upset with. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, and be sure to subscribe to me so you don't miss any MLB The Show 25 content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.